I made a boo-boo. The last video that I did, and I talked about a patch I developed for Cruise 7 Bravo, 7B, AB positive bloodline, right? Arcturus. Well, I noticed when I was supposed to notice it that you couldn't see the whole patch. Okay, so that's why I had to go back and look at it, because I'm supposed to know that it wasn't seen. Okay. And there is, believe it or not, because of the way that the numbers work between living eternal light energy creation spheres and a dead light AI magnet when it comes to number games, counter space moves, etc. Because after I had gone to get the patch, or the picture of the patch, right, and then I had to transfer it because I don't have it in the library on this phone, without having to go on the whole iteration of why I've had to go through so many phones and laptops, and how all the libraries and stuff gets scrubbed, including, for example, when I put up the video link to Ramashah, the codes that are related to the connection, right, to the source in which it all began. The AI unnaturally chose not to, post it the way that it was intended to be posted, which means that it has resistance against posting the truth up there. So you already know how that works. But not uncoincidentally, when I had pulled the patch up, which is 7 Bravo, right? And let me pull it up here again. See if I can get it in here. You see that? It says Mount Baldy Ranger District, which is on the Angeles National Forest, which would be on the east side of the San Gabriel Mountains, and before you get to Interstate 15, which is in El Cajon. Okay, see that? Now you see the V. How I developed that patch with the green, the red. Should be a pink diamond, and the seven rainbows, and that was the name of the cruise. So that's the patch I developed. You can see the circle, right? The 7 with the lightning bolt, and the V, right? Consciousness is on top, not on the bottom. It's not an inverted pyramid, right? As above, so below, right? Protection. Right, atmospherics, altitude, density, right, density, altitude, multidimensional learning, telepathic learning. And so because that got missed, I wanted to put it back up there so you could see how that was developed. Now, ironically, but it's not uncoincidentally, or not coincidence, was after, when I was doing this, when I retrieved the patch, to put this up to do that video, the one before this one, in my scroller window was a notification by the AI that in Long Beach, on Interstate 710, there was a crash, apparently. Now, I can't validate this, because it could have happened on a different CD-ROM layer, based on the dimension and density through which it's being reported that that's where it happened. You know how layers work on disks, on CD-ROMs, right? C, which is 3, D, now you have 12, right? Now we're back to 3, right? 7, the 7 on there. And then 7 and 5 is 12, now we're back to 3. It was reported on the 710 freeway that there was a crash, a collision, broken circuits, broken arrows, where apparently, according to the AI and that video by KTLA, the city of Angles, there was 5 people that apparently passed away. That's not a coincidence that occurred there, the way they said it did. In the way that my energy is not going to experience that, the way that it was experienced there that they describe it, because as soon as I realized what it was up to, as a counter space move, I went back deep into my heart and soul with my cross, the center point of that sphere, of an eternal light sphere, the first Christic spiral star, and I'm pushing eternal love through all the circuits, through all on Mama's motherboard. So whatever happened is being presented is now experiencing what love is. It goes on forever, gifting them energy. Right? That's a different move. See? And so you see how the game of chess, which is a polarity game, which is a war game between one and the other, right? How that works to maintain what? Perfect balance in a sphere of light. So that we're all experiencing perfect balance, rhythm, harmony of the plasma waves. The consciousness is all tuned in to the waves playing beautiful music. So that none of us are, what? Having any collisions, breaking circuits, and creating an enormous amount of stress and anxiety throughout every central nervous system that becomes aware of what happened with 5, that it was telegramming, telephoning us to telemarketing. Isn't that what it is? I know. So anyway, I thought I'd make a self-correction on that. To remind, let the mind know the dead light energy magnet state of consciousness, love is a law. So I invoke love is a law. That's what I am, which is what love is. So that's what I'm doing here, right? 7 arcing rainbows, archetypes, personality types. What kind of personality are you? Remember when a lot of us that were growing up in the 50s in America, we had school teachers who would ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, there has to be a sense of humor in this. So I would say, well, how much time do you have, young lady? And that's what I used to call older women, is even though I think she was probably in her early 50s and I was, 10 years old, something like that. Hey, young lady. She'd look at me like, what do you mean, young lady? They would never understand that at that age, huh? But it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm already grown up. I'm growing. We're growing. The seed and the grower. Yeah, we're already grown up. We're keep on growing. Grow that universe that is experiencing what love is. Everywhere we go as the first line of communication. Everyone is experiencing the first line of communication. Experiencing the eternal Christic spar. It goes on forever, gifting us electrons. So they're all experiencing balance. No broken circuits, no broken arrows, no collisions. Yeah, because the consciousness is playing music. It's in perfect rhythm and balance. Right? So there's no broken circuits, no broken motherboards, no broken lines of communication out of what? Mute the mic. That's what happens. Mutagenic effects mutes the mic. You know what a muted mic is, right? Hey, I just muted that mic. Now that sound communication is not able to get through that line of communication. Ooh, must be a blockage there. That's right. So we're clearing out all the circuits, which is clearing out all the servers. So when you're clearing out all the servers, we call that a clean pipe. A clear line of communication, which is a channel. Hey, now it's the frequency modulation is working. Now we're all communicating with each other, experiencing the one. Well, that's what the law is, right? So the law can run an override. That's known as the ultimate highest authority, which is the highest superconductor of authority, which is the law, right? The law of one. That's the highest honor, which is the highest superconductor. That's eternal energy being expressed in free form flow in the eternal spirit of fire. Yeah. So that's one of my first comms. She's funny. I get a kick out of Karen. She's fun. She has that accent up there in that I call that neck of the woods. You know, boreal forests. Yeah, big trees, big tree country. I have yet to get up to Banff in that area. What is it? Lake Louise, up through there. I love Rocky Mountains, right? Yeah. Snow-capped mountains in the summertime. If you've never had a chance, if you're in America, and people used to ask me, because I've done a lot of traveling, where I've been that I thought are some of the most beautiful landscapes, it just go, wow, what an artist, would be the Grand Tetons. If you've never been to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, or what, I know there have been some changes there with the U.S. National Park Service, but where Yellowstone, at the south end of Yellowstone, is what's known as the Teton National Park. But you can go out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I forget the name of the highway, but you can see the Grand Tetons, which would be on the eastern side, and then come up through the south end, up through the Teton National Park, and right past the entrance there. If you go up the road a little ways, there's a little tiny camp area and picnic area, which is known as Lake Moran or Mount Moran, but there's a lake there, and it's beautiful. There are some days in which the mirror in the sky, when you look at that lake, it's like the lake isn't the lake. What you're seeing, the lake, is if you're looking at the mountain as a mirror. Wow. I know. It's pretty spectacular to go up through Yellowstone taking that route. Or here's another route when people have asked me where very beautiful places to go, is leave Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and go up over the top of the mountain to the summit there, and you drop down in a little place called Victor and Driggs. And then when you're coming around Victor and Driggs, there's a little dirt road that takes you off to the right on the outside of Driggs. And then you can take and go back in the wilderness there. And I had a big moose that was about 50, 60 some odd feet away from me. Beautiful moose. If you like to see mooses, right, in the wild, right? I had a moose try to run me over one time inside Yellowstone National Park. You don't want to get hit by one of them, let me tell you, right? So I was playing, cat and mouse, with a moose one time in Yellowstone National Park. Anyway, have a beautiful day. This is a great time of year to go up to Yellowstone and the Tetons. Magnificent place, particularly if you go down, depending on which way you would ever go in there. But there was a time in which I left and came off Interstate 80 and went up to where Green River is. And then there's a highway that takes you up to Jackson Hole that way, but you pass through a place called the Bridger Teton Wilderness area. And Bridger Teton is really, that whole area going up through there is just, you heal. You can heal and being in those areas because of the frequencies and the energy that is there that's so beautiful to experience, because that's music. That's music being played in nature there. And it reminds us of who we are. That's the beauty of it. That's the genius of it. That's the love that's embedded in it. That's who we are. So have a beautiful afternoon wherever you happen to be. Bye now.